Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the June 2022 Committee on Accreditation meeting to order. Will the staff please call the roll?
Cynthia Amos, Jomelene Belatayo, Kathy Krisha,
Here.
Katrina Chakowski,
Here.
Cheryl Forbes,
Here.
Bob Fraley,
Here.
Mike Hillis,
Here.
Marty Martinez,
Here.
Jason Lee, Gerard Morrison, Kevin Taylor. We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you. So just a few logistics regarding the meeting. The meeting is going to be conducted in person. All members and most staff are participating within the commission office. Many participants of this meeting and some staff will be attending virtually. The Zoom link has been made available to the public. Regarding microphones, as Michelle said, this is a very important reminder to please press the button on your microphone to activate it when you speak. If you do not do that, those listening online will not be able to hear your comments and they will not be recorded. So please, even if you're making a brief comment, remember to push the button before you speak. And then once you're finished, be sure you push it off. And the way you can tell is if the if the green light is on and bright, that means your microphone is on. That also means there's a good chance the camera might start being directed towards you. So, all right, for Zoom identification, we like to ask that everyone check their Zoom ID and make sure it contains your first and last name accurately so we're able to call on you appropriately and also so we may get all names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on the three dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. When it is time to take up an item, we will need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and make sure that they can see and hear the committee and that we can see and hear them as well. Participants will need to turn on their camera and unmute their microphone. Regarding public comment, if any member of the public wishes to comment on a specific item, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen during the item. You will be brought into the main meeting room at the appropriate time and asked to state your name and affiliation for the record. If you wish to speak on a specific item, please send a request through the chat feature telling us which item you wish to speak to so we may ensure that we can call on you during the appropriate time, or you can also send your comments through the chat feature and we'll read those aloud. Please ensure we have your full name and affiliation and which item and name you're referring to. There is also a time designation or designated, for general public comment at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and after the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commissioner's website. Voting, because we are in person, a roll call vote is no longer necessary on every item. So we will not be going back to the all in favor say aye and opposed say no format. We can do a roll call as needed, and that will be determined throughout the day. Regarding a quorum, thank you for being here. We have a quorum. Barely. Nobody gets sick. Stay healthy for the next 5 hours. But just so you know, and we want to also clarify a difference between a recusal and an abstention. If there's anybody who does have a single recusal today, that will cause the committee to lose its quorum on that topic, and the item will need to be moved to another meeting where a quorum will be available. And as challenging as that might be, it's much better to do that, however, than to vote on something that you have to recuse yourself from. So I believe that we've all discussed about the recusals and you're all aware of what that means. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go throughout the day. But just be more specific, a recusal is when you have a financial conflict of interest or you cannot be fair and unbiased. You may know the individuals, but that itself does not constitute a conflict of interest. Education is a small world, as we find out. We all seem to know each other from one way or another. So that by itself is not going to result in a recusal. An abstention is when you're lacking information on a topic and would like to have your vote not recorded. So for example, if there's some information that you need more of, but you feel you cannot make an informed decision, then you can abstain. A recusal does impact the quorum, an abstention does not. Abstention should not be used in place of a recusal. Any questions about the protocols on the voting today? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to item 2. Item 2 is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda of the June 2022 meeting? And please remember to unmute your microphone when speaking. Member Tchaikovsky.
I move that we accept the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Forbes. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 3. Item 3 is approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the May 2022 meeting? It would be appropriate for any committee member not in attendance at that meeting to abstain. Member Forbes.
I move we accept the minutes of the prior meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? Any corrections or changes? I seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Item 4 is the co-chair and member report. Any members have anything they wish to report? Besides happy to be on vacation. Is that nothing to report or not on vacation or both? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I might just say that from a school district and site perspective, there's, as predicted, an increasing need for new teachers. And this teacher shortage that we've been hearing quite a bit about is affecting all the districts in California, I would imagine, including those that have been relatively more isolated or insulated from the shortage, meaning more populous areas along the coast, which have more hiring opportunities with higher salaries. Even those districts are being affected by a shortage of people in key subject areas, particularly, at least in my school, computer science, math, STEM fields, as predicted. So the warnings that were issued several years ago were important and hopefully have spurred programs that produce teachers to increase and recruit and sustain and maintain and grow. So coming out of COVID, we're definitely, although California is becoming an expensive place to live in light of recent events, also a desirable place to live. We need teachers here.
Yeah. Thanks, Member Tchaikovsky. Is there any indication, or maybe we can discuss it another time, as far as what the looks like in the pipeline as far as teachers coming through? And is that something we can maybe put as an agenda item, just more as information? Cheryl, you want to address? I'm sorry, Member Forbes.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, then from the IHE perspective, in the same county that Member Tchaikovsky is referring to, we are just starting 2 cohorts. That's why I said, no, I'm not on vacation, because we just brought in our secondary intern candidates in an alternative certification program. And so they all showed up, everyone who was admitted. And, they're really excited. I think the benefit that they have compared to last year's cohort is that they actually were able to do their early field experiences in classrooms with real kids. Whereas, the cohort who is out still finishing up their master's degree in our institution, they didn't have that previous experience. And you could really tell that they're not going to be at the same place starting out as new teachers that they would have been in the past, having had that early field experience. They did go through student teaching, and had a good experience, but you can still see a little bit shakier foundation. So we're really optimistic about this new group of candidates, and they're all excited and ready to go. So we've already had a few requests for interns. That has dropped in our area because even though there are shortages, sometimes those shortages aren't producing actual intern positions. But hopefully we'll have a robust elementary cohort when we start in the fall. Our number of applications did drop, though. That was a concern. So I think we all have a lot to do in terms of shifting the public discourse about teaching, but even more importantly, helping teachers shift the working conditions that they're experiencing, so that more people will want to come into the profession and stay.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else wish to comment? Yeah.
Just one other comment related to this that I think is related to the draw of talented individuals into fields of education, counseling, psychology, and that is the relative willingness of districts to hire and support and maintain cohorts of new teachers on a tenure track path. I've seen a somewhat discouraging trend toward offering teachers temporary contracts instead of probationary contracts. Right. And I want to put the card on the table and say, if we want new teachers in this state, We need to make teaching a profession where the districts invest in new teachers and don't treat them as expendable commodities. So I want that expressed as we're talking about this whole conversation. We need to encourage districts to recognize what's at stake if we do not invest in new teachers in very practical money earning ways.
Well, and it's an interesting dichotomy. Emerging from COVID, there are many districts who are concerned about spending the money and having the money to hire the teachers. Yet by the same token, if teachers are receiving temporary contracts, it does not much motivation to actually stay within the profession itself. Yep. Difficult balance. Anyone? Yeah, Erin?
I just want to address your request for information about teacher numbers in California and direct the COA to the Commission's annual teacher supply report. That report comes out in the spring of every year. So the most recent one was presented to the Commission in April 2022. It is on our website. The downside, I guess, is that the numbers are about a year old. Just in the way that we have to have a deadline for capturing the data, and then it takes time to crunch the numbers and present the report. So the report presents trends in teacher credentialing from the 2020-21 year. But it is very interesting. We are still seeing an increase, but in general, we have a shortage still of teachers, especially as it seems like forever, multiple subject, ed specialist, early childhood now because of universal PK going into place. So we're working on that. But if you'd like anything beyond the teacher supply report, just let us know.
That's great. Thanks, Erin.
And just one more thing I just want to mention, because Kara's in the room, but there's been a significant investment, as you know, from the state in residencies and classified grants and a variety of different ways. The Golden State Teacher program, those kinds of things. So, and the budget isn't signed yet. We have a couple more days, but we do expect some enhancements in those as well to some of those programs. So,
okay, great. And we can hear more about that during staff reports. Excellent. All right, thank you. Any other members? All right, thank you those for the conversation. Item 5, do we want to wish to move that later in the day? Okay, so item 5 is the staff report, but we have a lot of other things on the agenda, so we're going to move that to later on. We are going to move on to item 6. So item 6 is program approval recommendations. This section is for action. Today there are 7 institutions with 8 programs for approval, and we will address each request separately. The first program approval is from University of California, Los Angeles, designated subjects, career technical education. Joining us today from UCLA is Allison Leggett, Director of the Teacher Education Program, and Dr. Stephen Muker, Department Director for Education, Humanities, and Social Science at UCLA Extension, and they are here to answer any questions that you may have regarding the proposed program. Do we have any recusals on this item? None, and thank you. Will the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposed program? Do we have them with us?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Well, good morning.
Go ahead. My name is Dr. Allison Leggett, and I am the Director of Teacher Education Programs at UCLA Extension. And we are excited about our proposal for the designated subject career and technical education credential program. We want to share that we have taken a really important deep dive into the credential to ensure that it meets all of the expectations of the CTC and that it aligns also with the UCLA's program.
I can just add, I'm Stephen Muker, and I'm the Department Director for Education, Humanities, and Social Sciences here at UCLA Extension. And I want to add that our institution and campus are behind this program and excited about the opportunity to serve more students throughout California.
Great, thank you both. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from UCLA? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve University of California, Los Angeles designated subjects career technical education? Member Gracia. You do.
Oh, that's right. I'm not even on. I move that we accept the designated career subjects for the University of California, Los Angeles.
All right, for career technical education. Is there a second? Second by member Hillis. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck with it.
Thank you so much. We're very excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and the second program approval is from Riverside County of Education, designated subjects, career technical education, and we see you're in the room. Thank you for joining us. Please come forward. Welcome. Fine, thank you.
Hello, hello.
Oh, so we have, let's see, Riverside County of Ed, we have School of Education, Dr. Ursula Estrada Reveles. Is it Reveles?
Yes, Ravelas.
Thank you. Executive Director. Melanie Oliver, Director 2, is it called? Okay, thank you. And then Dr. Lisette Magana, Director. Great, thank you all for being here. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, would any representative like to offer any comment or thoughts?
Sure. I just wanted to say we are so excited to be here with you all today, as this is a culmination of over a year's worth of work. And I credit Dr. Lisette Magana with that work. And I will turn it over to her right now.
Thank you, Dr. Estrada Reveles. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for having us. We are very excited to embark on this new adventure for Riverside County Office of Education. I am pleased to report to you that we have worked to ensure that our program has multiple levels of support, especially the social, emotional support that our teacher candidates will need when they're coming from industry into high school classrooms. So we have worked very hard to make sure that there's many levels of support, such as monthly candidate surveys, where candidates will let us know how they're doing and what needs they have, both at the site level, but also with their academics. So we are well prepared and well poised to service candidates in our region. So we thank you and appreciate your service as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And nice to hear about the multiple levels of support. Cover all areas. Very nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a comment? You came a long way. Why not?
Good morning, Melanie Oliver, Director of Center for Teacher Preparation at RCOE. Again, I just wanted to say thank you for your time. Thank you for support. We did our due diligence and we surveyed our surrounding districts and counties to see what their need was. And I think you mentioned before here that there was a mass teacher shortage and a need for effective educators in our classroom. So we are excited to help solve that problem. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And effective, good choice of words. Thank you. All right, are there any further questions or comments? Member Tchaikovsky.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for responding to your constituents' needs. Particularly the marriage of CTE and the TPE is really important for all of us to keep considering how what we're requiring students to learn can and will translate to vocations and employability. So I know, in my district, we're while I'm not making a personal connection to what you're talking about, I do know that throughout the state, there's a wide call for making education relevant. So thank you for listening and taking the effort to probably learn a lot through this process and help inform the larger conversation and being here to share with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Member Tchaikovsky. Co-Chair Martinez.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. It's great to see people in person. And so I just have, first of all, just compliments. It's really exciting to hear more programs adding CTE, especially at the county office level or any at university level as well. And just kind of building off of what Member Tchaikovsky said, that marriage, that connection with industry and relevance. Can you tell me about that relationship and how that's going to be ongoing for your program in terms of maintaining relevancy and making sure that your program is meeting needs of industry, but as well as what I heard you say is preparing teachers.
Absolutely. Dr. Magana has done a phenomenal job networking with the local agencies, and I'll turn it over to her to say a bit more.
So we currently are working on a curriculum project in the region, Riverside County, with our educational partners. And our vision has been making sure that curriculum within the program is based on problem and project-based learning, so that there's relevance between what students are learning in the classroom and making it relevant to the current industries. And also making sure that geographically programs are relevant to the communities where students are being served. And through that, and through the learning of our teacher candidates in our program, we also are extending that curriculum project, again, like I was saying, to our educational partners, so that when teacher candidates finish our program, they are ready to go and practice and bring those skills into the classroom, so that we can make sure that students are impacted and our communities are possibly impacted by what teacher candidates are learning in the classroom as well.
Dr. Magana, would you mind saying a little bit more about what we were discussing earlier today, which was the categories that you mentioned, and how, for example, transportation is one of those key areas? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we currently, when we work with our agencies, we look at the local industry maps so that agencies can and are able to see what the needs of the local communities are. So for example, when a candidate it has expertise in logistics, which happens to be one of the needed areas in our region, transportation and logistics, they're able to see, oh, there is a program here that is able to provide this need for the community, so that when students graduate high school, they have those skills able and ready to serve within their communities, as opposed to perhaps focusing on an area that may not serve well the community because of the local needs.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you. And just kudos for just the strong preparation that you did to be ready for today.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee member? I think you've touched on several critical issues. I think the relevancy is always one. And I think the fact that you mentioned that to remain current, to remain in touch with the needs of the community, rather than dictating what they need, listen to the community and respond to what their needs are, and offer appropriate opportunities. And then also making a positive impact. So I think all of those are definitely a positive and plus on your side. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Oh, absolutely. Any other comment or question? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve Riverside County of Education designated subjects career technical education? Member Tchaikovsky.
I move that we accept the recommendation for acceptance of the Riverside County Office of Education designated subjects CTE program.
Great, thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Morrison. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Aye, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to the progress you'll make. Thank you. Yeah. Enjoy your time in Sacramento. Third program approval is from King Chavez Academy of Excellence Teacher Induction Program. Joining us today from King Chavez Academy. Multiple subject. Got it.
Multiple subject intern.
So King Chavez Academy of Excellence, multiple subject intern. Got it. Thank you. Joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program are Marquis Bover, Credential Operations Analyst, Emily Bremer, Director of Induction, and Colleen Marble, Director of Instructional Leadership. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, would the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposed program?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, hi. I'm Marky Bover at King Chavez Neighborhood of Schools, and we just wanted to say we're super excited for this program. We wanted to say how thankful and grateful we are to be here and for this opportunity. The support provided by Poonam and Miranda at the CTC was extremely beneficial and helpful. We believe that this hands-on approach to teacher education will partner seamlessly with the thoughtful habits of Mind employees and professional educators. And we cannot wait to open this intern program to all the wonderful educators out there and to provide multiple layers of support and to hopefully help close this gap on teacher shortage in California.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other member wish to offer comment? All right. Seeing none, any members of the committee wish to offer any questions or comments? Coach Martinez.
Good morning. First of all, thanks for your hard work and all the preparation that went into preparing all through the process, through the review and through getting you today. While reading through your documents, one of the things I noticed was there was some comments from the team around collaborating with your broader community around your program. Can you tell me the steps you've taken or kind of what you learned there and how you are addressing that, and just expand on that a little bit?
Of course, that was one of our biggest challenges. We are a system of 5 charter schools located in San Diego. And one of the things that we have decided to do to help with our collaboration is open up an advisory board. And on that advisory board, we have invited members from outside of our entity. We have a member from UCSD, from United States University, a couple of educators from different districts as well. And we're hoping that that can help. Sorry, something just popped up. We're hoping that that can help form our collaboration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee member? All right, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Forbes.
I move that we accept the multiple subject intern program at King Chavez Academies.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go have a great day. Thanks for joining us. The next two are from Summit Preparatory Charter High School, preliminary multiple subject and preliminary education specialist, mild to moderate support needs. And joining us today from Summit Preparatory Charter High School to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program are Pamela Lamke, Executive Director of Teacher Residency, and Adam Carter, Executive Director of Marshall Street at Summit Public Schools. Are there any recusals on this item? By seeing none, would the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposed program?
Yes, good morning. I want to thank you, the members of the Committee on Accreditation, for your time this morning and for the CTC staff and reviewers who supported us through the initial program review process. We just completed the 5th year of operation of our single subject teacher residency program, accredited by the CTC through Summit Preparatory Charter High School. I am here before you today seeking approval for a multiple subject teacher residency program that builds on our single subject residency program model, designed in partnership with the Stanford Center for Assessment, Learning, and Equity. We designed this multiple subject program based on demand from our partner districts and networks, many of whom operate K-8 or K-12 schools. We also want to contribute to solving this critical teacher shortage area across the state. You can find letters of support for this proposed multiple subject program under Initial Program Preconditions, Item 1, Demonstration of Need. The data from the California Educator Supply Dashboard is clear. Almost 4,000 multiple subject teachers across the state are not teaching on permits, waivers, or intern credentials. Further, those candidates who are completing multiple subject programs do not reflect the diversity of the students across the state of California. The most recent program completer survey results state that 84% of program completers identify as female and 83% as white. As you all know, this problem is twofold. We need more excellent multiple subject teachers, and we need teachers who reflect the diversity of our students. Over the last 5 years, we have demonstrated the effectiveness of our single subject program. Our single subject teacher residency program had its most recent site visit in February 2020, in which we were recommended and approved for full accreditation. We have effectively recruited and retained cohorts of more than 50% candidates who identify as people of color annually, with an average of 65% candidates of color over the past 5 years. We have effectively recruited and retained cohorts of more than 40% candidates who identify as male and an increasing number of candidates who identify as non-binary. This past year, almost 50% of our cohort identified as the first in their family to graduate college. These successes are the result of recruitment strategies, admission processes, program design, and candidate support systems intentionally designed to recruit and retain candidates of color. Our data also speaks to the quality and effectiveness of our program design in preparing high-quality new teachers. Out of our most recent cohort, 92% of our candidates passed the EdTPA on their first submission. Our most recent stakeholder survey data showed that across the board, our candidates, cooperating teachers or district employed supervisors, school administrators, and alumni are highly satisfied with their experience in our program and with the quality of teachers coming out of the program. The 5 years of experience and continuous improvement work with the single subject residency program that led to these results is the foundation for the proposed multiple subject program in front of you. We also convened design teams made up of multiple subject teachers, instructional coaches, and school leaders, along with representatives from other CTC accredited multiple subject teacher residency programs and representatives from community-based organizations for collaborative sessions focused on the program's vision, philosophical orientation, educational goals, program outcomes, content emphases, design features, and program curriculum. Your program approval today will allow us to continue this collaboration and prepare to launch the first cohort of this program, integrating it into our existing educator preparation programs. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments. Any other comments wish to be offered from the institution? Mr. Carter, do you wish to offer any comment at all?
No, just to say thank you for your time today. Pam said it all.
No worries. Thank you. All right. No worries. Let's see. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Summit Prep Charter High School? Member Hillis.
Yeah, first of all, just congratulations on getting to this process and your past success. One of the questions that I had related to your past success is obviously recruiting candidates of color has been a challenge for a lot of institutions around the state. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, how do you attribute most of your success? Are there things that other institutions should be learning about how to go about that process?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And we're always happy to share and contribute what we're doing with others in the field. And definitely we've learned from others we've collaborated with along the way. I'll highlight a couple of things. Obviously, there's so much that goes into a recruitment strategy, but a few things I'll highlight are, I think we're really clear about what our beliefs are about teaching and learning, and we lay those out from the beginning on our website and in all of our interactions with candidates. And that is what drives our admissions process. We're digging deep into their beliefs about students and about schooling to understand if they're the right fit for our program. The second thing I'll highlight is the intentional design of our program. Similar to many residencies across the nation, we have financial supports built in for our candidates so that they can afford to really immerse themselves in the year as learners. And that comes with financial support from our partner schools who contribute to the program. And some of the recent work, like Ms. Hickey mentioned, the Golden State Teacher Grant Program we've seen a huge increase in our STEM candidate enrollment this year because of those financial supports from the state, in addition to the ones we've built into our program. And then lastly, I'll just say that I think we are really thoughtful about how we're going about our recruitment. Some of our recruitment is broad, to recent college graduates, but we also are working deeply through our school partners and our community networks. Over 60% of our most recent cohort are from the local communities in which they're teaching. And so we're going into our schools, looking for substitutes and after school instructors and parents, even aides who are interested in becoming teachers and who we can support on that path. So those are a few I will mention.
Thank you. Member Tchaikovsky.
Yes, also, thank you for being here and moving forward with additional opportunities for educators. And my question is related to Member Hillis's question, which is, in the spirit of a cycle of continuous improvement, having done the residency thing the first time, can you talk a little bit about lessons you learned about changes that you made to these new efforts? How are they different and informed by what you learned the first time?
Just to clarify, do you mean with the program overall or specifically around recruitment?
Well, I'm thinking about the multiple subject program as an extension and successor to your single subject program. What did you learn the first time? What changes did you make as you're moving toward this second iteration of a related program?
Yeah, thank you for that. I will say we look at data constantly on a weekly, monthly, yearly cadence. And so we're constantly making tweaks based on faculty feedback, but also feedback we're collecting from our residents and district employed supervisors and our schools. So there are many tweaks going on. At a high level, I'll share that actually, to what one of the other programs mentioned, one of the things we've embedded even deeper into our program are lots of layers of support for our residents as they're processing their experiences in schools. So when we first started the single subject, we had the district employed supervisor, right, as the ongoing daily support in the classroom, and then our faculty member, who we call a mentor, with weekly or biweekly touch points with the resident for coaching and observation and support. And we came together as a cohort and we did some community building. But actually what we learned pretty quickly is that we needed to spend even more time and even more intentionality in that cohort space, thinking about how we can help residents understand each other's experiences in different schools. As events in the world occur, how we can think about the support we're providing to help them process that before they go and then think about how they might share those or not with their students. And so we've added in some additional supports to the single subject program that we're carrying into these new programs, such as a supervisory model where they work in small groups with a faculty member that really is a designated space to process successes and challenges going on in the school or in the world, or a place to bring in changes that are going on in the state or in the field that are important for them to understand. So that's one example of how we've sort of enhanced support over time.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love that idea of horizontal relationships being as instructive as some sort of traditional kind of top-down expert novice kind of thing. And you mentioned events in the world. Yeah, right. Kind of important to discuss. Thank you.
All right, thank you both. Any other further questions or comments from any committee member? I seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the two programs for Summit Preparatory Charter High School? And in your motion, if you could state the specific programs. Co-Chair Martinez.
I move that we approve the two programs offered by Summit Preparatory Charter High School: preliminary multiple subject and preliminary education specialist mild to moderate support needs.
Thank you. Is there a second? Member Tchaikovsky. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you for being with us today. The next program approval is from Tulare City School District Clear Administrative Services Program. Joining us today from Tulare City School District to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program are Philip Hirschbacher. Did I say that correctly? I don't know if Philip is with us. Assistant Superintendent of Personnel, Dr. Terry Martindale, Director of Leadership and Support, and Debbie Parker, Director of Curriculum and Professional Development. Any recusals on this item? By seeing none, will the institutional representatives like to offer anything about the proposed program?
Yeah, I'd like to start just briefly. Thank you so much. We're excited to be here. I really appreciated the comments and the admonition before we started regarding just treating teachers with a long-term perspective. And so I wanted to share that in the Tulare City School District, we definitely have that view, and our retention rates are very high because of that. And one of the reasons why that is so as well is because of the work that Debbie Parker has done in our new teacher support system for years. And so we're very excited to be here, and we plan to take all that we've learned from that endeavor and apply it to this one.
Great, thank you. Nice to hear that the retention rate is high within your district based upon the respect and the recognition of the teachers' efforts. Thank you for doing that. Any committee member have any questions or comments?
I would like to add too, thank you for having us
please.
here. Thank you for having us. And yes, we have been going through CASC through like some of our partner schools or partner like places that are close to us. I can't talk today. So we have gone through like 3 different CASC programs in our district to clear our administrative credentials for our administrators. And so we decided each time it seems like they either decide not to have the program anymore or something usually happens and we have to find a new one. So thankfully we have Debbie in our district and decided to co-write this for our district and hopefully get this approved today so that we don't have to no longer go around to neighboring towns to figure out how to clear our administrative credentials. So we thank you so much for all of your feedback, and Debbie and I worked on this diligently, and it was a fast turnaround, and we thank you for that as well.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other comments on the institution?
Yeah, I just would like to add that, we worked really hard to use the systems that we've had in place for many years with our teacher induction program. And Terry and Philip have already been working with our admin interns and helping them, as well as our vice principals who come new to their positions, even though we have been working with other CASC programs to clear those credentials for our admin. We have had in place some really effective professional learning opportunities. So we're just building on systems we've had in place. And I think that we have Terry's expertise and experience also as a former principal. And I think she's going to be a great person to lead this program.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Parker. Member Tchaikovsky.
Thank you for being here and working to extend coherence in your district on behalf of the leadership of your people in that region. My question is, given the existence of teacher induction as an influencing program for your administrative clear program, what if you had to identify just a few principles, elements, or core beliefs that you drew from teacher induction to build your admin induction program, what would they be? What did you say were non-negotiable carryovers from that other program?
Do you want to speak to that, Debbie, or?
Sure, I'm trying to find where my unmute is on my phone. Yeah, I think that one of the foundations would definitely be the professional learning that we offer within our district, and we are a small district, but we have a lot of expertise within. And so, as I mentioned, we have built, or we are planning to build off of some of the things that are already in place in terms of the professional learning opportunities that Terry and Philip have for our new administrators in the district. And that's, professional learning is part of what I direct in through the curriculum department, and I think it's something that we really pride ourselves on in the district. And I think that, we also, we have some really good partnerships through our Mid-Valley Collaborative with our IHE partners. And that has grown from initially just being about teacher induction to now some of us also have interns. We don't have an intern program ourselves, but we do have interns. And then we also, several of us in our Mid-Valley Collaborative will have CAST programs. So those are definitely important things because we learn so much through that collaboration and partnership with others.
And I would just briefly add that, the self-reflection is such an important piece, no matter what position we are in our journey through education. And so as the one who's in charge of personnel, we look for the best to put next to the best. And those folks just get better with great PD and then self-reflection.
Great, thank you for your comments. Any other committee member? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the Tulare City School District Clear Administrative Services Induction Program? Member Tchaikovsky.
Do I really need to say that all again? You just said it so perfectly. Okay, yes.
You can do better.
I move
You can do
that
better than me.
we approve the Tulare City School District Clear Administrative Services Induction Program.
Well done. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for joining us and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you bet. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Moving on to the next program approval, which is from Santa Ana Unified School District, Clear Administrative Services Induction Program. And joining us today from Santa Ana Unified School District to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program is Marisol Rechach. Did I say it correctly? Is Marisol with us yet?
Hi there. Yes, Marisol Rexach here. Thank you.
Rechach, thank you so much for joining us. Any
Absolutely.
recusals on this item? All right, seeing none. Dr. Marisol, Dr. Rechach, would you like to offer any comments?
I would love to. First of all, we're very grateful for the dedication of the program reviewers who supported this effort. Their high standards and their feedback really helped us to make sure that we've designed a quality program. And I also really appreciate just this opportunity to personally and publicly thank the commission and everybody who supports induction. One other thing was mentioned about using other districts' induction programs, and we're very grateful that we've been able to do that with Irvine Unified School District. They actually received full accreditation just this past year. We're really excited about that for them, and just letting them really help us understand how it is to have an induction program for administrators and use that as an opportunity for learning. One of the things that happened for us is that we were really providing this throughout the pandemic. And as you can well imagine, coming into a position like this, basically not having your four walls and not having a sense of community meetings and so forth, could be a real solitary experience. So the fact that SAUSD admin induction and mentoring actually provided us, our administrators, with resources, a sense of community and the support throughout this pandemic to really learn deeply about their leadership in context with fellow administrators, those are really valued by our administrators. That's the feedback that we're getting from our admin, that they really appreciate that opportunity. And we really just look forward to continuing those efforts to develop amazing instructional leaders. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And the feedback you're receiving sounds wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Any committee member have any questions or comments for Dr. Rexach? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Crecia. Great, thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Right. Motion carries. So congratulations, Dr. Rexach. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and good luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too. And the final program approval is for University of Laverne bilingual authorization in Spanish. And joining us today from the University of Laverne to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program are Anita Flemington, Professor of Teacher Education, Joy Springer, Interim Associate Dean, and Julie Johnson, Director of Continuous Improvement. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, would the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposed program?
Sure. Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Joy Springer, and I am the Interim Associate Dean for the LaFetra College of Education. And we really are so excited to be here. We might dance in our boxes in a moment. We're just so excited. This has been a long-standing goal for our college. The University of Laverne is a proud minority-serving institution, and we believe that bilingualism is a superpower asset of many of our candidates. And so we have been led based on the amazing students we serve and district feedback for the need for bilingual candidates to serve in dual positions to design and develop a program to promote pathways for bilingual candidates to pursue dual credentials. So we're so happy and grateful for the incredible feedback we received in this process to get us to this point. And also, I have to give just the biggest shout out to Dr. Flemington, who is here, who will speak in a moment, but this has been her passion for decades. And so to see this come to fruition is really a beautiful thing. We are blessed at the University of Laverne to have many talented bilingual professors. And I'm so excited for the opportunities that a program like this can bring for our college. So thank you for having us, Dr. Flemington.
Yes, I think Joy said pretty much everything. But I do want to say thank you, Miranda, for all of the help that the CTC has given us. We really appreciate that. As Joy said, we are a Hispanic serving institution, so this was something that we really needed to have in place. We have a high number of Latinx students. We serve communities such as San Gabriel Valley, Inland Empire, Victor Valley, Ventura, Kern County, just to name a few. And one of the things that we know is that bilingual education in the 21st century is the way to go. Bilingual is an asset. I've been in education for a long time, and we are now moving to becoming more progressive. And so what we see now is that our young people are seeing bilingualism as something good, and we want to continue to promote that. So I am going to turn it over to Julie in case she has something to say. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for considering our proposal.
I think Joy and Anita have covered it both. I worked with Anita for over the past year working on getting this done, and the time and effort and passion that she's put into this is evident.
Great, thank you all for your comments. Any member of the committee wish to offer any comment or question? Member Forbes.
Good morning. Well, first of all, congratulations and thank you for such a passionate and thoughtful proposal. I had one area that I kind of wanted to draw attention to for various reasons, and that is clinical practice, because as you know, we'll all be transitioning to the new bilingual standards. And I really appreciated your clinical teaching overview document with the highlighted sections about how how you're already preparing for that 20 hours of fieldwork experience. It was very clear, and I thought it was a great model for what some of us may want to think about in our transitions as well. But I did have a question about how you're able to meet the needs of your single subject dual language credentials candidates in particular, who will be possibly not doing their actual full-time clinical practice in their content area in Spanish. So can you say a little bit about what you've learned about trying to ensure that all candidates are able to implement the 20 hours of field work in a setting with kids?
Yes, you are correct. I actually teach in the single subject, and that is more challenging. We have a wonderful, or we did, she's moving into another position, field work, a person in charge of the clinical experience, who I've worked very closely with. We will be making sure that they are placed in a bilingual setting for some of the hours, because again, it is very important. We've made lots of connections. I work very closely with CABE, AICCU Ed, and AICCU. We work very closely with school districts to find out what their needs are, to find out what they have available for placements. And again, and Joy was before she became Associate Dean, she was also working with field work placements. And one of the things we do is we have a very close relationship with our school districts. And so, and we know it was very challenging during the pandemic, but we continued to have that relationship to find places for our candidates. Again, it is more challenging, and there are very few districts at this point who take the dual immersion all the way up. Pasadena, for one, does, and that happens to be the district that my granddaughter goes to. But on a whole, we may have to look for school districts where the content is delivered in that language, and they may have to go to a different school for that.
Well, thank you for that candid remark, because I know we'll all be thinking about this field work. I want to clarify too, this is the field work component, not necessarily what we would think of as student teaching or clinical practice. So, that field work, that 20 hours of field work, it sounds like you've already been doing some good thinking about alternative sites where your candidates may be able to complete that. So congratulations for doing that work.
I just want to give a plug. I work also with state organizations, Cal Council, and we do try to put together groups that can talk about this, because this is a need that we have in all of California. So we're just not insular. We work with many, many different organizations in California.
Thanks. Well, I'll conclude. I could go on and on. So I'd love to talk to you more, maybe in one of those organizations. But yeah, I think, you've outlined the challenges even in Spanish. And when we look at some of the less commonly taught languages, Hmong or Vietnamese, it'll be, an even perhaps greater challenge. And we may have to really think outside the box creatively, and it will take the whole village. So thank you for being a partner in that thinking.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this in a critical area of need. And as I'm listening to Member Forbes talk about the importance of this new requirement of field work, I'm thinking of how imperative it will be to have strong ongoing relationships with school districts, school sites, pockets of expertise. And I hope you'll maintain records that will help you to, given your wide reach, given all the different places your program will be implemented, collect and document the things that seem to be working in terms of those university to district and LEA relationships, because I really think that that's where the quality placement can allow you both flexibility and alignment with the standards. It'll require both in order to make this happen productively.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion from a committee member? Member Forbes.
I move we accept the bilingual authorization in Spanish program for the University of Laverne.
Thank you. Is there a second? Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you all for joining us. There we go. I love it. All right. Thanks again. Have a great day. Next on the agenda item is item 7. We're actually going to skip item 7 for now, and we'll come back to that at a later time. So for time's sake, let's move on to item 8. Item 8 is the initial program approval for new program sponsors. Consultant Poonam Bedi will present this action item. Los Altos School District was recently granted provisional approval by the Commission as a program sponsor and is now seeking approval from the COA to offer a teacher induction credential program. With us today are Los Altos District Representatives Greg Drummond, Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator, Sarah Gerlinger, District Coach and current induction mentor, and Sandra McGonigal, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Ms. Bedi, would you please begin?
Yes, thank you. And just a quick note for the record, we actually do not have Sarah with us this morning, but we do have Greg and Sandra present. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so good morning, everyone. Good morning, committee members. As described on the first page of this report, the Los Altos School District is currently in stage 4 of the initial institutional approval or IIA process. And as the co-chair just noted, they are before the COA today seeking initial program approval for their proposed induction program. And as noted on the second page of this item, Los Altos was granted provisional approval back at the Commission's April meeting earlier this year. And when provisional approval is granted to an institution at the conclusion of stage 3 of the IIA process, it allows the institution to move forward to stage 4. And within this fourth stage of the IIA process, the Committee on Accreditation moves to either approve or deny the proposed program, which would for operation. And a team of 2 BIR members collaborated on a review of Los Altos stage 4 submission, and they came to a consensus on a final finding of aligned for each of the teacher induction program standards. Under the table that's in the middle of the second page of the item, there is a link to Los Altos School District's IIA webpage. And on that webpage, this final stage 4 submission and the reviewer feedback can be found. And then the final page of this report has the 5 stages of the IIA process chart that's there for your reference. And as introduced earlier, we have with us today Greg and Sandra from the Los Altos School District, and they are available to answer any programmatic questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment on the proposed program.
Thanks so much. We believe very strongly in the impact a high quality induction program can have both on teaching and learning and on teachers' satisfaction in their careers and retention over time. In particular, we value the mentors being a part of the school and district community where they do their mentoring, and that context is very important to culturally responsive teaching. So we're very excited about the possibility of offering a program that allows us to support mentors in supporting new teachers to build on their pre-service work and to build habits that will sustain them in their careers. I just want to thank Poonam, and also just the process of getting feedback from the reviewers helped us to see more clearly the standards and helped us to create what I believe is going to be a really strong program for new teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Drummond. Any other comments from the institution? We're all good. Okay. At this point, it's an opportunity for discussion from the COA members. Any COA member have a comment or question? Co-Chair Martinez.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for your submission. And one question I had just in reviewing it, and you talked earlier about just the importance of mentors in supporting new teachers. Can you talk a little bit about your plans? I noticed there was feedback from the review about assessing mentor quality and how that ongoing growth for mentors. Can you clarify that for us a little bit and tell us more about your plans going forward?
Yeah, we've embedded both initial training for mentors in a 3-day institute for them to attend, and then there will be regular mentor forums for ongoing training and support. In addition, mentors will go through a process that mirrors the induction process where they set goals and get ongoing support from myself and also the lead mentor in the program. And then work on those goals and go through some observation processes in order to refine their practices as mentors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment or question from COA members? Okay, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve Los Altos School District's Teacher Induction Program? Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant initial program approval to Los Altos School District's Teacher Induction Program.
Thank you. Is there a second? Member Tchaikovsky. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, congrats. Thank you, Ms. Beatty.
Thank you.
We're going to move ahead. We'll skip item 9 for right now, and we're going to go on to item 10. Item 10 is a report of the accreditation team to Irvine Unified School District. Consultant Gay Roby will introduce the item. And joining her is team lead Jill Barnes and institutional representatives Susan Holliday, Director of Human Resources and Program Director, and Teresa Stringer, Assistant Principal and Program Coordinator. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Roby, will you please begin? She not quite with us?
I forgot the mute button as usual.
No worries. There you
Thank
are.
you so much. I am having some lag time, so if I start stuttering with the speech, will you let me know and I'll take off the picture to speed up the internet band.
Right, no worries.
The site visit to Irvine Unified School District took place on May the 2nd through the 4th in 2022, and it was in a virtual platform arena. A team of 4 site visit team members conducted the site visit, and they conducted a series of interviews with 184 constituents across all of their interested groups. The visit followed all of our established protocols at the CTC. There were no unexpected complications, and it resulted in the site visit team having a very strong confidence in their findings and their recommendations. So the Irvine site visit report will be presented by Jill Barnes, one of our site visit team members, and I turn it over to Jill.
Good morning, Gay and all others. Thank you so much to our consultant, Gay Roby, and our site visit team members, Christine Cisco, Kathy Fong, and Amy O'Neill. We also want to thank Teresa and Susan, their team at Irvine Unified School District, and the Santa Ana induction team and district staff for hosting the site visit. Based on the evidence provided by the Irvine Unified School District and information confirmed through interviews and additional documents requested, the team recommends accreditation for the institution. During our 3-day virtual site visit, as Gay said, the constituents we interviewed confirmed that Irvine has a well-coordinated system of support within the district and within their satellite CASC program at Santa Ana Unified School District, which it looks like there'll be some changes coming up there for Marisol and her team. Congratulations to them. From the superintendent's leadership to the mentors and coaches interacting with candidates on a weekly basis, we saw systematic professional learning support embedded within the induction programs across the board. Through a strong commitment to training its newest members in the profession, the program's clear communication lines emphasize that all of the candidates have the opportunity and the expectation for growth in their assigned position. Current candidates reported how, quote, grateful they are to have the opportunity to do induction within the district, describing a sense of purpose and belonging as their practice has grown over the 2 years in their participation in induction. And district staff echoed these sentiments, adding that an in-house program allows for close conversations between departments and sites, ensuring candidates, mentors, and coaches get what they need and are retained in the profession. There was a lot of pride in these programs, and so it was very visible in interviews and these conversations. Additionally, the relationship of the candidates and their mentors or coaches was found to be extremely collaborative and supportive. The mentors and coaches are provided extensive training to keep skills up to date and offer comprehensive support to the candidates. CASC candidates shared how their coaches were able to backtrack from a problem of practice in a capsule to narrow the focus of their ILP and help design meaningful, relevant induction work. TIP candidates reported their mentor was able to help select strategic strategic professional learning opportunities to support individual growth. And lead mentors review the work of the mentors and coaches, providing direct feedback and support to grow mentor skills in the field. Everything was so deeply embedded within the systems of the district. It was, we like to call it a kind of a web, interwoven system that we saw being implemented. Professional learning was really strong in Irvine Unified School District. Abundant support offerings for teacher induction candidates were regular mentor meetings, optional workshops, and these regularly scheduled mini conferences, which were described as exceptional by Irvine teacher induction candidates. One of the more unique structures in place within Irvine School District is their Continuous Leadership Academy, known as the CLA. CLA sessions are offered throughout the year, all presented by Irvine's district administrators. Mentors, coaches, and administrative candidates experience comprehensive and systematic training that provides professional growth and leadership practices in a wide variety of topics, while also providing a structure to welcome and incorporate new district administrators. In conclusion, all the interviews we conducted with Irvine USD constituents were marked with enthusiasm and pride in the programs, expressing a sincere appreciation for the district site and program leadership, and confirming the program's alignment with program and common standards. And we are available to answer any questions the committee members may have.
Thank you for the thorough report, Ms. Barnes. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. Remind you, it's not a time to dispute the report, but rather provide any thoughts that you may have about the visit itself.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having us today. Thank you, Gay and Jill. That was an excellent report. And we really are so proud of this program. We have to give amazing contribution and accolades to Teresa Stringer, who's been doing this program for over a decade. So its refinement and its exceptional nature is because of her work, her focus on supporting the district and at every school site, every teacher. She has a strong relationship with everyone that is a foundation for that work. Thank you so much for supporting induction programs for teachers and administrators. We are evidence of, like many programs are, of the success that they create for our new teachers, our beginning teachers, and they're retaining and staying in our district because of these programs. And we want to also thank our review team. They were exceptionally knowledgeable. They asked great questions, and because of those questions and comments and thoughts, it helped us dig a little deeper and think a little further about how we want to continue to develop the program. So we want to thank them for their time and commitment to our work. And then finally, thank you for the recommendation for accreditation. And I'll turn it over to Teresa, who's just been amazing behind the scenes work in this program, if she wanted to add anything further.
Thank you for having us. Hopefully I don't have too much of a lag time. I do want to thank Susan Holliday, who is our director of HR induction, for all of her support this year. I need to do a shout out to Terry Walker, our superintendent. He was the reason we wrote this program 15 years ago, because he felt it was so important to embed it in our district. Eamon O'Donovan, who is our assistant superintendent, and the support he's given to the program. I would be remiss if I didn't call out Christine Cochran and thank her for all of her support in the background, because you know those people in the back who support everything. She's been phenomenal. Santa Ana, our relationship with Marisol and Dawn has gone back many, many years, and we trusted each other. And because of our support and our knowledge of induction over the years, we were able to build that trust and grow great programs. I do want to thank our review team, because I can't imagine doing a site review via, virtually, because it was tough. Gay Roby has been my fairy godmother, because she's on my speed dial, I believe. Like in anything, Gay has been everything for us. Our program is great because we focus on the relationships. We focus on the individualized support, and induction has moved from, the box to the binder to really embedding, making sure that it helps every single individual teacher. And because the state has allowed us to individualize it, we've made a stronger impact on the classroom. We take employer feedback and we get it all the time, whether we want to hear it or not, and we make changes and we update our program based on that feedback. And I think over the years, it hasn't always been easy to hear the criticism, but I think our program is much stronger because of it. And our relationships with our community, with our universities, UC Irvine, Concordia, Cal State Fullerton, has been phenomenal because we've been able to embed and recruit student teachers to become teachers who look like our students. And that's really important as we celebrate what we call equity, excellence, diversity, and inclusion. And I think that all these district initiatives are so embedded in our program, and it doesn't feel like it's an extra thing. It feels like they just get that support. So with that, congrats to Santa Ana for your program approval, and thank you very much to the commission for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Stringer, and also Ms. Holliday. This is now an opportunity for COA members to offer any comments or questions. Member Gracia.
Yes, I just want to say that I was really struck by your ILP and how it was divided into two sections. And I was kind of wondering about how did you really develop into that self-selecting of professional development for the candidates? How did that kind of come about? Because I was really struck by that, and I thought that was pretty.
What we found was when we developed it initially, it was this just huge, giant beast of a document. And we thought by separating it into parts, because we all know that at the beginning of the year, you feel like your challenge is this. And then as you have conversations and you self-reflect over the year, you realize, no, you know what? It's not about classroom management. It's about engagement. I need to get my kids engaged. So to be able to have that opportunity to update their ILP progressively throughout the year and encourage mentors to have that dialogue with their new teacher. I think it has been, it was challenging initially to get them trained, but I think that it's really become a fluid document and something that they appreciate.
Thank you.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Yes, thank you for all your work and for your submission, and congratulations on the recommendation. I appreciated the position of the lead mentor. It seems to me like that person in your program plays a really important role, which a lot of other programs sort of dispense with. It's sort of like the minimum required to provide people with mentors, but you have this kind of intermediary role of teacher leader. So just without, taking up too much time here, I wonder if you might just make a comment about the qualities that those lead mentors have. I mean, what is the profile of one of those individuals?
Thank you. Hi, this is Susan. And Teresa, feel free to add in as well. But it is a brilliant concept. And anybody I talk to that is facilitating an induction program, I say you have to think about how to embed this lead component, because they help build the capacity. It's layers of leadership in the program to build capacity of your mentors, and then to have your mentors supporting your candidates with real-time support. And the lead really is that exceptional teacher that has those exceptional leadership qualities that are willing to and able to work well with their adults and providing them feedback and listening. Often, they're somebody that might have some interests in some administrative work in the future, or they might be a teacher on special assignment. But quite often they're highly respected by administration. We get feedback from principals on who these individuals are, other teachers on who they are, and many of them have been mentors for many years, and that contributed to them becoming that exceptional lead to support our mentors.
Cool, thank you. And then again, just to mention this relationship between all the different levels of leadership. It seems like that just would lead to some serious coherence and solid relationships over time, which is obvious given the comments that you all have made. That's important.
Thank you. Any other committee member have any comment or question? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Tchaikovsky.
I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation for Irvine Unified School District's teacher induction program.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Crecia. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you for your outstanding work in Irvine. Thank you, Ms. Holliday, Ms. Stringer, Ms. Barnes, and Ms. Roby. And Gabe, next time we see you, we want to see you. If you're the fairy godmother, you have like one of these wands or something. You gotta. But again, congratulations, Irvine. Thank you.
Today, so let's see.
Okay. All right, thank you all. We're going to do item 11. After item 11, we'll take a brief 5-minute stretch break. But let's see if we can go through 11 first, which is the report of the accreditation team to La Sierra University. Consultant Miranda Gutierrez will introduce the item. And joining her is team lead Rebecca Harris and institutional representatives Dr. Chang Ho Ji, Dean, Dr. Keith Dryberg, Department Chair, Dr. Dora Clark Pine, Department Chair and PPS Program Director, Dr. Raymond Hurst, Assistant Chair and Director of Assessment, and Dr. Doug Herman, School of Education CTC Task Force Committee Member. Does anyone need to recuse himself? I see none. Ms. Gutierrez, will you please begin?
Good morning. Thank you. So the La Sierra site visit, or excuse me, La Sierra University site visit took place from April 24th to the 27th. It was conducted entirely by video technology on Zoom, and the site visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. Before I turn it over to the team lead, Rebecca Harris, I'd like to thank the team at La Sierra for their coordination leading up to and during the visit, as well as ensuring that all the technical logistics were in place and for their availability and responsiveness during the site visit. I'd also like to thank the site visit team for their thorough review of evidence and to Rebecca for her leadership in guiding the team during the visit. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Rebecca, who will walk you through the report and the team's recommendation.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to share some of the review and deliberation that the site visit team engaged in as we worked on standards findings and our accreditation recommendation for La Sierra University. I'd like to begin by echoing Miranda's thanks to the faculty and staff at La Sierra. Their hospitality, even over Zoom, and their openness to questions and requests for information was extremely helpful and collaborative. And their approach made the site visit an enjoyable experience for the team. I'd also like to offer my gratitude to Miranda, who served as our state consultant. Her guidance and support were invaluable and top factors in making the visit go so smoothly. And I'd like to thank the other team members that I had the privilege of serving with, Deb, Stephanie, and Shira. Each team member worked hard to follow up on items that were not clearly provided or addressed in the original review or addendum. They came to the site visit with their preliminary reports drafted, their questions ready, and focused on triangulating the information that they had already reviewed through interviews and additional documentation that was provided on site. The site visit schedule prepared by La Sierra helped us meet with relevant stakeholders to inform our deliberations and recommendations, and review of the provided documents and interviews with the relevant stakeholders resulted in the site visit team being certain that candidates and completers are known by their program and have their needs met where they are, and that the unit provides regular opportunities for input from their stakeholders. Based on the pre-visit work, the interviews, the processing that the site visit team completed, we found that all school psychology program standards have been met. All school counseling program standards have been met with the exception of program standard 17, which was met with concern. All multiple subject and single subject program standards have been met with the exceptions of program standards 4 and 5, which were not met. Additionally, we found that Common Standard 5 was met, Common Standards 1, 2, and 3 were met with concerns, and Common Standard 4 was not met. As a result, this team recommends an accreditation status of accreditation with stipulations. And took conversation and particular attention to the wording of each standard in order for the site visit team to come to this recommendation. The main issue that the site visit team encountered during the site visit was the inability to get a clear picture of the candidates and completers in the CTC approved educator preparation programs, especially in the multiple subject and single subject areas. The data on the number of candidates and completers for these programs that the site visit team received from La Sierra changed several times throughout the visit. Prior to the site visit, we had data that multiple subject had 20 candidates enrolled and single subject had 16 candidates enrolled. And then during the site visit, we received different data that showed over 60 candidates enrolled in the programs. And then as the site visit drew to a close, we received another set of data that had different numbers of candidates and completers for these programs yet again. Additionally, during interviews with candidates, completers, employers, and advisory board members, there were individuals included who, based on evidence and documentation, it wasn't clear if they were part of the CTC approved educator preparation programs, and maybe instead were part of the Seventh-day Adventist focused program. And in interviews, sometimes they weren't clear if they were in CTC approved educator preparation programs or in other programs offered by the unit, and provided information that seemed different than what the site visit team had reviewed in program documents. So the inability to get a clear picture of the candidates and completers in the CTC approved educator preparation programs, especially at the multiple subject and single subject program level, and the inclusion of individuals in interviews and in data that appeared to not be part of the CTC approved programs led to inconsistent evidence that the education unit sufficiently dedicates resources for the effective operation of the programs, that there is a clear process of the unit monitoring and evaluating the programs and their implementation of fieldwork and clinical practice, that there's a process for monitoring and tracking candidate progress in meeting competencies and performance expectations to guide support efforts, that the criteria for selection and hiring of university supervisors is consistently applied, along with the assurance that site-based supervisors meet requirements and are oriented and trained to their expectations, and that the unit regularly and systematically collects, analyzes, and uses candidate and completer data to inform decisions about programming effectiveness and continuous improvement activities. So again, while it's clear that La Sierra has dedicated faculty, staff, and supervisors who love serving their candidates in the School of Education, and it's clear that those candidates and completers feel known and cared for by these faculty, staff, and supervisors, there are some gaps in systems, data, and processes that made it difficult for the site visit team to triangulate and match information from documents to interviews. And this lack of clarity on who was part of CTC approved programs and included in the data interviews is what really informed most of the program or the standard findings that the site visit team arrived at. So thank you for this opportunity to share about the work and findings of the site visit team. And at the appropriate time, I'm happy to answer any questions that the Committee on Accreditation may have.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. And just to clarify, the report is recommending accreditation with major stipulations as opposed to stipulations, just to ensure that we have that. Is that correct?
Yes, sorry, that is correct.
No worries. Thank you. All right, this is an opportunity for the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you have about the visit itself.
Let me go. Go ahead. Let me go first, Dr. Druberg. Thank you for Dr. Harris and then the team, and appreciated the comments and also the reviews. if you hear some background, I'm actually abroad, so there's some limited internet access, so please forgive some background noise. But my appreciation really goes to Dr. Harris, and then thank you for pointing out some of the weaknesses that we can fix. Actually, the university, my institution has already took several important steps to address all those issues. So I'm very optimistic and actually confident that in 1 year, we can address all those issues, so we appreciate. Dr. Draper?
Yes, just wanted to thank again the visiting committee and Miranda for giving us the valuable feedback. We had some relative weaknesses, and we have moved towards the steps of reorganizing, trying to precisely understand exactly, how many students, because that was a big concern, how many students are actually in the program right now, and that was a relative weakness. So we have a much more precise idea at this point in time through the reorganization of exactly who's in the program, working on the state credential, how many interns we have, how many multiple subject, single subject, because we not only have the undergraduate, we have the graduate program as well. So we have taken the steps to correct the weaknesses that were pointed out that led to some of the confusion right at that point in time when the visiting committee came in April. Now I
Thank
can.
you. Any other members? Yes,
Go ahead.
please feel free to just continue and pass if you'd like to share with each other or to speak in turn.
I think anytime you have a crisis is a wonderful opportunity to streamline things. And I appreciate the accreditation team in terms of bringing our attention to some things that needed to be altered and streamlined. And I think Dr. G is really organizing our thoughts on how to address the concerns of the committee, and certainly has already put into place a new system that a new structural system that will assist in terms of alleviating concerns of any subsequent visit by the accreditation team. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Opportunity for committee members to offer any comments or questions. Member Morrison.
Hey, good morning. I'd just like to, if you would just back up a little bit when you gave the explanation about the numbers in the program, because I'd never seen a report like that before, where there was a range of people involved in it. And I just asking you, was that because the figures weren't at hand and now you have them, and what are they, or that you just didn't know, or is it connected to that idea that you have some candidates who are in the religious side and not a CTC credential? And if that's the case, how do you separate those, and how are you going to separate those in the future? I wasn't. You just touched on that, but I wasn't quite clear on your explanation.
Yes, if I could respond to that question in regards to the numbers, because we had received numbers from our institutional research that was different from exactly how many students were in the program. We also have students that are going through the religious preparation, and we had failed to separate those out, and that was cause for confusion. At this point in time, we are not an extremely large program. We're a smaller program. We have 23 elementary students who are admitted to the state credentialing program. We have 18 secondary students, so 41 students in total. There was some confusion in terms of how many have been submitted to the state for, ones who have completed the program. In 2022 so far, we have recommended 4 single subject students and 1 intern student. So we've got much more precise information, recognizing what the committee was sharing with us. And we have rectified those kinds of things to give more precise information at any point in time where we stand with that. And forgive me, Rebecca, we were just giving you some information of what the university was giving, what institutional research was giving, what we specifically had at that point in time in terms of admitted to the program. And because we had a dual number of people, it was confusing that we were trying our best to rectify. That's why it might have been confusing at that point in time, but we have made those changes, and at any point in time, we can tell you exactly today how many we have in the program because we have made those changes.
And I can't speak for the teaching side, but I can speak for the school psych and counseling side. We have 5 viable programs within our department, and the programs are fairly similar for the first year, and then they diversify into different arenas like school psychology, school counseling, marriage and family, professional clinical counseling, behavioral analysis, and so forth. So students will perhaps take the first year of the program and decide to switch to something else. And so what we might start out with a certain set of numbers will actually mutate to a different set of numbers because students may be in the professional clinical counseling program and decide, no, I think I want to go into school counseling, or vice versa. So I can't speak to the teaching side, but I know on our side of the house, our numbers are fluid and will typically be that way until after the first year of courses.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here to talk with us. I just had 2 questions I wanted to ask. And as Member Morrison said, I've not ever seen a report quite like this one before. Do you have a registrar? A registrar would be a person who at any time can report to you the status of an individual enrolled at your institution. Is there a person in that capacity?
We have a credential analyst who recommends once all the requirements have been met. However, one of the changes that we put into practice, what we had done in the past is each department kept track of those students in the programs. And one of the items Dr. G has put into practice in this reorganization is a sort of registrar, somebody in charge of all the records for the whole school, for all the departments to keep track of this very type of information. So we don't call that person a registrar per se. However, in effect, they are handling specifically all the students coming into the program, when students make the changes, what changes have been made. Are they still in the state program? Have they moved into one of the clinical programs? So yes, we do have something like that in place right now as a result of what the visiting committee shared with us would be helpful in terms of keeping track of this more precisely.
Okay, because that seems imperative to me. I mean, I'm not a person who does this by day, but like names of people with where they're at, right? And then the second question, I notice your the report indicates you have these 2 models for participant engagement in your programs, either cohort or drop-in. And I might wonder why you have those 2, because that seems like that would spawn the likelihood of uncertainty in terms it just magnifies to have those 2 models concurrent, just would allow people to slip, especially since you allow such changes in course as were just described, that someone might start out in one direction and then switch, and then now you have not only cohort, but you have this drop-in model. I mean, I guess as someone who's interested in you aligning to standards for these programs that result in credentials, I might wonder why you have those 2 modes of participation. Perhaps it would be helpful to you to drop the drop-in, or to think about how those 2 modes result in a lack of clarity in terms of who's where when.
And I would agree with you there. We have had in the past an open enrollment, for example, into the teacher credentialing program. However, what we have moved to since the site visit is basically if students are to start in a cohort, we only have 2 start dates, and that is summer or fall. Because you're right, when people come in open enrollment, they get off track. It's a little harder to keep track of where they're exactly at. How do we provide that ongoing advising with all the specific things that the state is requiring? And so, yes, I would tend to agree with you. We have pulled back rather than having open enrollment to basically focus on 2 start dates to the program where it's more efficiently done to keep track of students.
That sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Any other committee member? Member Hillis.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Certainly I know students do change their mind, and when they come into a program, oftentimes they get exposed to other opportunities. I'm curious if for those students who do end up changing programs, do they have to make a formal request to change their program to the unit?
I can speak from, and that's a great question, I can speak from the multiple subject and single subject. We have students, especially in the last few years, everybody starts in the state program. But we then do have students who move into private religious education because they get picked up as teachers before they get done. Then they opt out of that state program, so there's paperwork that they complete. So we move them out of that program specifically because they have been either chosen to be, picked up by a school district. This also happens with charter schools. It may be a private charter school system. If they cannot fulfill the requirements of clinical practice in public education, that poses a problem. And in the last couple of years, students are being picked up before they get done, and that has given us a host of issues of how to deal with working with each individual student. So yes, when they opt out of the state credential program, they basically fill out some paperwork. It's taken to the faculty committee, it's approved, and basically they are taken out of the state program because of what they have done. So we do keep track of that information very specifically because our program is built on the state credential model, and everyone is expected to move in that direction unless they move into something else that is not the state credential program.
Okay, any other further comments or questions? Member Morrison.
Hi, we've heard a couple of things that you've already implemented since the report. There are quite a lot of stipulations here. It's been a couple of months since the visit. Could you just go over a couple of other things that you thought were of the highest importance that you got on straight away to address?
Yeah, let me answer after the questions. First, we restructured the School of Education since the visit team and us a report. First of all, we create this education registrar office and student service and tracking offices. So we're hiring 2 full-time, staff just for the student services and tracking, as well as we also setting up that program review as well as improvement committee. This committee will receive regular reports from all different offices and departments, and we'll have a regular meetings as well as to check down how to improve the system. So that's 2 things. And also we may hire new faculty who is in charge of students teaching as well as, the field services. So we kind of are streamlining, different meetings and different committees.
So yes, we have put into practice this reorganization, as Dr. G has talked about, as a way to track the students much more accurately with the changes. And secondly, some new people that are dedicated to the tracking of information, as well as faculty in charge of the multiple subject and student teaching and the field work provisions to make sure that is done specifically to what is required by CTC. And we've already put that into practice because the committee was correct in terms of pointing out our weaknesses, and we have made those changes, and we will continue to make the changes to meet the requirements and recommendations of the committee.
All right, thank you. Any other further comment or question? All right, this is an action item. And just to review, just to remind everyone, we do have this sheet next to us, the green sheet that kind of guides through the process as far as what the options are before us for the COA members. Also, I want to shout out to Poonam for including in the previous report, I think it was item 7, where she had the list of the different years and the guidance on there. That was really useful. I have that as well. So we have the information before us to help guide our discussion. If there isn't any further discussion, Member Morrison.
This is a question for the consultants first. I think, could you just explain the difference between major stipulations and probationary stipulations and why you chose major stipulations and not the other, just for my own clarification?
So because that's a decision that the team made, I'm going to defer that to Rebecca to answer that for you, because the team did talk about which level to go to.
So from the team deliberation perspective, the employers that we did speak to generally spoke to the quality of the individuals that they hired from the programs. And so the team was not overly concerned with the outcome of the students, the completers that were being prepared by the programs. And so that's why we leaned towards major stipulations instead of probationary stipulations.
Thank you. That's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris, for the clarification. Any other discussion? All right, again, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Co-Chair Martinez.
I recommend that we accept the team's recommendation of accreditation with major stipulations for La Sierra University.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Forbes. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you so much for the detailed report, and thank you for your open discussion and let us understand where the institution is at this point and what their plans are for moving forward. So thank you so much for doing that. And again, thank you for spending part of your day. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Please.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
And again, thank you, Ms. Harris and Ms. Gutierrez as well. Thank you. We're actually going to take about a 5-minute break as you're getting yourself set up. I think for stretch, let's do that. Looking at the clock in the room before you all walk out of here. With that big hands on the 11, we're back. All right. All right, I'll see you in 5. Thank you. I'd like to reconvene the meeting, the June 2022 Committee on Accreditation. And first, a shout out and thanks to Aaron for the protein bars disguised as donuts that we enjoy. So thank you for that. So when we all start crashing about an hour from now, it'll be lunchtime. It's perfect. That's right. There you go. All right, we're going to move on to item 12. Item 12 is the report of the accreditation team to Hope International University. Consultant Dr. Michelle Williams-George will introduce the item, and joining her today is team lead Dr. Jill Hamilton-Bunch and institutional representatives Jackie York, associate professor, and Corey DeWitt, credential analyst. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Dr. Williams-George, would you please begin?
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. So before we begin, Corey DeWitt. Yeah. And one will not be able to make it, Corey DeWitt.
Okay.
Okay. That's okay. It's okay. Okay. So the Hope International University site visit included a review of 3 programs, a preliminary multiple subject credential, a preliminary single subject credential, and a preliminary administrative services credential. Hope International University has been the program sponsor of these educator preparation programs since 2014. The site visit occurred from April 24th to the 26th of this year, and due to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic, the site visit was conducted virtually and interviews were conducted via technology. The site visit team consisted of 3 review members and was led by our very capable team lead, Jill Hamilton Bunch. I would like to thank the members of the site visit team as they were dedicated to ensuring that all evidence was thoroughly reviewed and were extremely thoughtful when deliberating on the standards findings. After a comprehensive review of evidence, including institutional documents, data from both site sources as well as the accreditation data dashboard, and interviews with a variety of constituents, the site visit team collaboratively confirmed findings on each of the common and program standards and determined a recommendation of accreditation with stipulations. I would like to note that while the site visit team recommends accreditation with stipulations, the team saw evidence that leadership at both the unit and individual program level had clearly developed a positive and responsive relationship with their candidates, completers, and the community. The dedication given to those various groups was acknowledged during numerous interviews. I will now turn the presentation over to Jill Hamilton Bunch to talk more about the recommendation and the report, as well as the site visit team's findings.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Michelle. And I would like to echo Michelle's thank you for our team, Karen Webster, Gurley Hale, Jennifer Olaf Lewis, and our capable leadership from Michelle. Thank you. And also to acknowledge the leadership at Hope International. Jackie is here today. Their dean and Jackie and all of the faculty and staff were very welcoming and just very clear and concise in the way that they provided information. We really appreciated their hospitality. I want to talk a little further about what Michelle began the conversation or the observation of the real hallmark of this program, which is really deep and wide partnerships with school districts. So to a person, when we spoke with stakeholders, they were very positive about the past candidates, the preliminary admin candidates, as well as the multiple and single subject candidates that they welcome into their school districts. There's a strong support from the university for these partnerships, not only with instruction and leadership, but also with support for ancillary services in those districts. Several key areas were addressed by stakeholder groups that highlighted the vision of HIU programs, and that was so evident in interviews with the advisory council. Members indicated that HIU is open to feedback and is responsive to the needs of each district. Similarly, candidates were very positive regarding the responsiveness of HIU as they are advised throughout the program, the availability of faculty, and their preparation for the field. What I want to point out that I think is, I've been on many reviews as a lead, and I just want to point out something that just really stayed with the team, and that's this idea of educators being reflective in their practice once they're in the field. And that's really our goal in teacher preparation, as well as our goal in induction. And comments from the field were that candidates from HIU, whether they were preliminary admin candidates or multiple and single subject candidates, is that they were committed to reflection. Employers agreed that candidates were open to constructive feedback and implementing recommended strategies. One employer stated explicitly, candidates are not afraid to ask for help. Candidates will ask for me to come in and model and help them teach strategies. They think about their instruction and they change their instruction likewise. And I think that that's just the highest compliment that we can pay, is that the program is preparing candidates for good work in the field. So it was just a pleasure to be with Hope International and just to hear those great things about the program from both the candidates, but especially from the community who receives those candidates. So our recommendation is accreditation with stipulations. All common standards were found to be met with the exception of Common Standard 3, which deals with fieldwork and clinical practice. And all of the stipulations and all of the findings surround fieldwork and clinical practice. So while it may look like a long list, it is actually one area. And I also want to be clear as we discuss the accreditation recommendation that this is accreditation with stipulations because it is one area and because it was situated to multiple and single subject almost exclusively. The program standards that were not met are also in that clinical practice fieldwork area. Most of the things that we're recommending are recommendations for how to quantify and how to show things that are already being done. So in many of these cases, it's simply creating a system to show, for example, the 600 hours of clinical, they're being completed seemingly, but we just need to show that they're being completed. So a lot of this, a lot of these stipulations that you'll see there in the report, as you've already read, are surrounding quantifying things that are already happening. So I want to be clear, most of these are not additions, but simply ways to show what's already being done. Our recommendation with those standards, again, is around fieldwork and clinical practice. The standard for in the program is considered not met. For Common Standard 3, it is also considered not met. We will have a revisit in 1 year. There is a single stipulation for the past program, the preliminary admin, regarding how site-based supervisors are evaluated in a systematic manner. So that is our recommendation to the commission, and the stipulations are there as you see them.
Great, thank you, Dr. Jill Hamilton-Bunch. We now invite the institution representative to make any comment that you wish to offer. Remind you, it's not to dispute the team's report, but just offer comments about the visit itself.
Hi, I'm Jackie York, and I led the site team visit. First of all, I want to apologize that the rest of my team isn't here today. Our dean, he is hiking the Alps, and that was scheduled a long time ago, and he didn't give that one up. And then our credential analyst was going to be here today, and she had an unexpected doctor's visit based on some test results she just received. So I apologize that it's just me here, but please know that as a team, we work very cohesively and, strategically for program improvement. So thank you, Michelle and Jill, for our site visit. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. We're really grateful and proud of our programs and the opportunity to prepare candidates for administrators and teachers. We acknowledge areas where we can improve to meet CTC standards, and we're always open to improving. As Jill mentioned, many of the stipulations found in the site visit report are things that we're already doing. And so we've begun implementing systems, as she said, in order to provide that evidence that's needed. Our programs are growing. We've seen 170% growth over the last 5 years. And so well-embedded systems and processes are essential. So thank you so much for the team. Jill, yes, highly capable, amazing. Michelle as well. And so we just appreciate the feedback, and we will work to address those stipulations.
Great, thank you, Ms. York. Opportunity for committee members to offer any comments or questions. Member Forbes.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. So it's good to hear that you're going to start working on, or have started working on, some of the areas that were found. So could you tell us what have you done so far to ensure that candidates are going to be having this time in public school settings that they need to have, that they'll have a master teacher? And are you still planning to have them choose their own placements, or do you think the program will become more involved in choosing the placements?
Yes. So to be clear, the student teaching assignments are always done through the district, but it's the the observations that candidates are completing during their coursework prior to student teaching, which was a concern. And so although our assignments have been very specific in what is required, what those classrooms need to look like, where those observations are being completed, it was brought to our attention we didn't have a system in place to track, first of all, the diversity of those classrooms, and then data that would allow us to disaggregate and then just see where those 100 hours are being completed across the continuum. And so yes, we have made changes to the requirements for their field work, their classroom observations. Those observation reports that candidates were completing were held with the instructor. And so we've created an institutional place. It's Canvas course with a Google form where our candidates are required to report where their observations are taking place and the diversity of those classrooms so that we can see as an institution that across their program.
Thank you. Thank you. So if I could just follow up with that. So I guess I must have misunderstood what I was reading, because it sounded as if some candidates didn't have 150 hours in a public school setting if they were placed in a private school setting. So that has been alleviated by these observations. Is that how they're getting their 150 hours?
So some candidates were able to choose, candidates were able to choose where they were completing their classroom observations. And that was the concern, because they could complete them in private schools. They could complete them in public schools. Most of the assignments had the requirement that they be completed in public schools. But now the requirement is that they all be completed in public schools. As far as their student teaching, they were able to do some of their student teaching hours in a private school. And so we're going back to a former requirement that we used to have, where 8 weeks be completed in a public school if they're on contract in a private school.
Okay, and then the last part of I'm sorry.
We used to have that process in place where 16 weeks, 8 weeks would be completed in the private school if they were under contract, and then 8 weeks in a public school. But when the standard was changed that allowed the candidate to complete all of their all of their student teaching hours within one placement, we kind of changed that during the pandemic the last couple of years. And so we're just instituting that again.
Okay, and then just the last part of my question had to do with the master teachers. So how are you ensuring from the very beginning that each candidate has a master teacher?
Oh, all of our candidates have always had a master teacher. So yeah, and our university supervisors meet with our master teachers and provide training to our master teachers. Then that's all documented. Jill, is that part of?
Yeah, so I think the way to clarify this is because field work was student choice, they could be doing field work in their mom's classroom. So for the 600 hours, which were not being tracked, it was unclear though it wasn't that it was unclear, candidates were placing themselves for that field work piece. So that supervised clinical for those 600 hours didn't begin in field work as it should. So that's where the master teacher question came in, is that field work placement, which was happening between the professor and the candidate in a class, not over the arc of those 600 hours. The other concern there was master teachers weren't trained in the 10 hours required for master teachers. Those who were actually placed with a master teacher, that master teacher wasn't necessary. Well, it wasn't tracked and it wasn't provided.
So my question was based on page 12 of the report, which in the first paragraph at the top of the page says, a few candidates indicated that they were teaching in private schools for their student teaching experience and did not have a master teacher. So is that sentence incomplete? Is it incorrect? Is it, because I'm still not hearing that.
Yeah,
I'm not hearing that in the answer that you just gave.
That is correct, specifically to private schools. So these are employed teachers in a private school setting. So they are the teacher of record in a private school. And for those teachers, the candidates themselves said, I did not have a master teacher. So part of that stipulation is ensuring that if they're completing part of their clinical in a private school, they have a master teacher assigned to them. And that is part of the stipulations. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. So then if I could go back to the institutional representative, how are you planning to ensure from the beginning of the school year that each candidate has a master teacher in the placements where they're doing their student teaching?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this might be, I'm not sure why the candidate said that. We always have a master teacher that's assigned to the candidate and, on record. And we have the university supervisor that's making those visits, working with that master teacher. We have formative assessments and summative assessments that are completed by both the master teacher and the university supervisor during the student teaching. So, I'm not sure why the candidate might have said that if they weren't working as closely. I mean, we did have one private school that we had a student under contract that wasn't the best fieldwork experience. We're no longer allowing candidates to complete fieldwork there or student teaching, but I'm honestly not sure why the candidate might have said that.
So in the stipulations, that would be stipulation A would include that preparation for the master teacher. And we use that as the lever to ensure that the master teacher is trained and therefore understands their role. With the candidates, they may have been assigned a master teacher, but because the master teacher didn't understand their role and hadn't been trained, they did not see themselves as a master teacher and may not have completed whatever paperwork a master teacher would. So A should be that stipulation.
So I'll just finish off with this. So one of my concerns is that waiting until a year from now to have a report that each candidate has a master teacher concerns me a bit. I think that needs to be something that's within the first 30 days, perhaps. So that's part of the reason I'm trying to find out what's being done now to ensure that there's documentation that each candidate has a master teacher.
I mean, absolutely. We're happy.
Sorry.
To do.
No, please continue. I'm sorry.
We're happy to provide whatever evidence is needed. Like that's absolutely a system and a process that's already in place.
Thank you. Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you. I would echo Member Forbes's comment about reporting. It wasn't clear to me from this report whether we were going to wait a year and then just get an updated report, or if, as I think I'd prefer, some sort of at least first quarter update once the school year is imminent. Seems to me more appropriate timing, assuming that your calendar somewhat aligns with traditional school year. To me, what's important is you've mentioned this idea of teachers working under contract. Well, we're primarily concerned with ensuring that whichever teachers receive a credential have been afforded the support and preparation to which they're entitled. That's our mandate. So regardless of how they're working in these private schools, these seem like, especially important to ensure that these people who are out there almost on an intern plus capacity receive this clinical practice support that is guaranteed by a student teaching model, right? So to me, that's really important, and I'd want to see some documentation for that. And you mentioned what I think is a positive change in terms of using Canvas and some Google Forms to track some input from your candidates. I would strongly encourage you to set something like that up for your master teachers and for your supporting teachers so that you can keep track of them. And you can also evidence then how often they're interacting with their candidates, and then supervisors and other people. So good job, getting on the Canvas Google Forms thing. If you can marry those two, that's documentation that won't require a huge reboot of your system, but will give you probably what you need when it comes to evidencing some of these things that your program, your visit lead has outlined in the stipulations. Thank you.
And if I can jump in, as part of the report on page, I think 4, it does talk about a recommendation for quarterly progress reports. And based on the timing of the site visit, the first quarterly report would be August. So if that works for the time frame that you were thinking about.
The last
It's on
bullet.
page 4.
Mm-hmm.
The last bullet there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we had looked for it as well.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Any further comments or questions from committee members? All right, this is an action item. Is there a motion from a member of the committee? Co-Chair Martinez.
I motion that we accept the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations for Hope International University.
Thank you. Is there a second? Member Hillis. Any further discussion? So to clarify again, the recommendation is there, and it doesn't include the quarterly report in which you're saying that the first one would come up here in August. Okay. Those are the next 30, 60 days, somewhere there. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any further questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No, I'm sorry. I was just late. No, aye. Aye.
All right. So we have so it passes unanimously. All right. So thank you for the healthy discussion. Thank you for the thorough report also as well, Dr. Williams George. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton Bunch, and also thank you, Ms. York.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have a lot on the agenda, and we're going to keep pushing through, and you will get lunch. It may be a little bit later than we had originally planned, but we're going to try to keep so we don't keep those who are planning on the morning hours too have to wait much longer. So we're going to move on to item 13. Item 13 is the report of the accreditation team to Cupertino Union School District. Consultant Miranda Gutierrez will introduce the item, and she is joined by team lead Levon Chastain and institutional representatives Laurel Henderson, Director of Human Resources. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Gutierrez, please begin.
We also have the superintendent, Stacy Yao, joining us from Cupertino. She must
thank you.
not have made it to the script. So thanks for being here. And thanks everyone for their patience this morning as we get to this item. The Cupertino site visit took place from May 16th to May 18th. It was held as a virtual site visit. And I'll turn it over to Levon quickly, but I just do want to express my thank yous to the institution, Laurel Henderson and Kim Stockelmeyer, for their organization and coordination leading up to and during the visit. They were both super responsive to questions before the visit, during the visit, making sure the team had all the information they needed. And I'd also like to thank Levon and the site visit team for their preparation and all of their work leading up to and during the visit. So with that, I will let Levon talk you through the team's recommendation. Levon, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, committee members, and greetings from sunny Florida. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as the team lead for Cupertino Union School District site visit. I'm going to ask for a little indulgence. Please forgive me for the brevity of this report. We are on vacation and my family's waiting for me. I would like to start by thanking our incredible team members for this visit, Latasha Porter, Tara Colville, and of course, the amazing Miranda Gutierrez. Their professionalism far surpassed all expectations, and I would gladly work with each and every one of them anytime. I'd also like to recognize the extraordinary work and dedication from the induction program director, Laurel Henderson, and the program advisor, Kim Stockelmeyer. They were both so responsive, as Miranda mentioned, to our team while on our quest for fact-finding. Without their unwavering support, the site visit would not have gone as smoothly as it did. It was an absolute pleasure in working with this team because of their dedication and commitment and passion for educator success. which ultimately leads, as we all know, to student success. Cupertino Union School District Teacher Induction Program embodies the mission and vision of the school district and is a well-respected program by all leadership at Cupertino. The leadership at Cupertino Union School District stated that they have been in declining enrollment over the last few years, and with that comes obvious budget cuts. However, the induction program is so important to all the involved that the leadership has made it a priority to continue the funding and supporting of this program in order to best support their newest educators. The robust CUSD teacher induction program is built upon a multi-tiered support structure. This support system includes induction coaches, district mentors, site support providers, instructional coaches who serve as program advisors, a program advisor or lead mentor, and a program director. As one candidate stated through interviews, through this program and my mentor, I have developed as a teacher in so many ways. For example, I've learned how to have a growth mindset because of this program. I've learned how to be a collaborator because of this program. And I am now can say I am a reflective practitioner because of this program. Our team is offering to the committee a unanimous recommendation of accreditation based on a thorough review of all institutional and programmatic information and materials available prior to and during the accreditation site visit. That included interviews with administrators, faculty, candidates, graduates, and local school personnel. The team obtained sufficient and consistent information that led to a high degree of confidence in making an overall and programmatic judgment about the professional education unit's operation. A decision pertaining to the accreditation status of the institution was based on the preconditions all being met, program standards were all met, and common standards were all met. Thank you again to the Cupertino team for making this virtual visit such a success. Again, without their professionalism and dedication, the visit would not have been as enjoyable as it was.
Thank you, Ms. Chastain. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you had about the visit itself.
Yeah, I would just like to say, thank you for the committee that came out, and I think they had very thoughtful, reflective questions for us that always help us continue to grow. We are extremely proud of our program and really do believe it's instrumental in us continuing to be able to attract teachers and more importantly, to keep them on our staff. And as I already mentioned, Laurel Henderson is phenomenal as our director. She's led this program and just continues to shine above all others. So a huge thank you to Laurel for all this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Superintendent Yao, for being here. I'm sorry, I'm not muted, right? Great. Thank you, Superintendent Yao, for being here. Thank you to the committee for having us today. And thank you to Miranda and Levon and the team for just a very supportive visit. And the process was just seamless. The year of preparation with Miranda was so supportive. And as Stacy said, their reflective conversations and questions really promoted further opportunities for growth for our program. Kim Stockelmeyer, who's not here, is also my team member and was so supportive, and she's just phenomenal. So I wanted to say that as well. But a big thank you to the team. We're proud of the program, and we're grateful for this recommendation of full accreditation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's now an opportunity for committee members to offer any comments or questions. All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of accreditation for Cupertino Union School District.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Forbes. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez, and thank you, Ms. Chastain, for taking time out of your vacation. For those who are watching and you want to be part of the BIR team training and so forth, we can't promise you a trip to Florida, but we can promise you excitement. Anyways, thank you all for being with us. Thank you. Congratulations again. All right, move on to item 14. It is the report of the accreditation team to Imperial County Office of Education. Consultant Roxanne Perdue will introduce the item, and joining her this morning is Team Lead Valerie Saylor and Institutional Representative Jeanette Montano, Senior Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Erica Morquecho, Director of District and School Support, and Robin Bates, Induction Program Director for New Teacher Support Coordinator. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Perdue, will you please begin?
Thank you. Good morning, committee members. Excuse me. I should have brought a water bottle. The report in front of you today includes findings of the accreditation site visit team to Imperial County Office of Education on April 25th through 27th of 2022. Imperial County Office of Education is a consortium that currently provides a teacher induction program. Their visit proceeded in accordance with normal virtual site visit protocol. I'd like to take a moment to thank the induction program director, Robin Bates, and her team for their virtual hospitality and professionalism during the site visit. We worked together for a full year prior to the visit, and her dedication to the program and the accreditation process was very evident. I'd also like to thank the site visit team for their hard work and diligence leading up to and during the visit. And I'd especially like to recognize Valerie Saylor, our team lead, for her excellent leadership. It was her first time as a team lead, and we always need more. So that comment about BIR, maybe we could say team leads get Florida trips. I don't know. But she was an excellent team lead her first time out, and she's already moved on to other ones. And now I'd like to introduce Valerie, who will share details of the team findings on the common standards and program standards and provide the team recommendation.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as the team lead on the Imperial County Office of Education accreditation visit. I would like to thank Roxanne Perdue, the CTC consultant, and the members of the site team. I would also like to thank the program staff at Imperial County Office of Education for their organization of the virtual site visit. As we all know, a completely virtual site visit can be challenging, but Imperial County did a very nice job of preparing for the visit and ensuring that the team had access to all evidence. They ran multiple Zoom links efficiently during the visit to allow us to interview, and the site team was able to review extensive evidence prior to and during the visit, and to conduct 216 interviews from multiple constituency groups across the consortium. During the visit, interviewees talked about high levels of support from the program and mentors, and about strong professional development through cycles of inquiry, resulting in growth in the California standards for the teaching profession. However, the team found that across the consortium, there were some inconsistencies in the way some elements within a program standard or common standard were addressed. This resulted in some standards being met with concern. Additionally, the team found that most of the areas of concern within the program and common standards overlapped, resulting in stipulations that, if met, address multiple standards. The team findings were that teacher induction program standards 2, 3, and 6 were found to be met with concerns. Common standards 1 and 3 were found to be met with concerns. The team recommends the following stipulations. Within 1 year, Imperial County Office of Education induction program will provide evidence that 1, site administrators and mentors are collaborating with candidates at the beginning of the induction process by providing input into the development of the goals for the candidate's individual learning plan, ILP. 2, a system of collaboration with IHE partners has been established that includes mentors and professional development providers. 3, mentors are being regularly assessed and evaluated on the quality of services provided by mentors to candidates using criteria that include candidate feedback, the quality of perceived effectiveness of support provided to candidates in implementing their ILP, and the opportunity to complete the full range of program requirements. And 4, only mentors who represent and support diversity and excellence are retained.
All right, thank you. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. Remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts you had about the visit itself.
Hi, everyone. Robin Bates. I just want to thank the committee this morning, as well as our site visit team, Roxanne and Valerie, Robin and Sean, for the wonderful process and feedback that they were able to provide us. We're very proud of our program. We are proud of the teachers that we support. We are always seeking continuous improvement, and this level of feedback is a level that we're unable to collect ourselves. We do collect an awful lot for ourselves, but this is additional, very well-needed feedback in order for us to make sure that we're growing as much as we need to, so that we're responsive to all of our candidates and their employers as a consortium in order to provide the best instruction to our students. So thank you all very much. I will say that with these 4 stipulations, we plan to follow the same plan, do, study, act cycle for continuous improvement that we have our candidates follow. We have plans in place, and we will do this fall. And then after our candidates finish their first cycle, we will also take a look at our evidence and make sure that we are meeting these stipulations as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Nope. Okay, seeing none, moves on to committee members. Any opportunity for the COA to offer any comment or question? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for being here this morning. My question is primarily related to the importance of the ILP in your program. Can you just and again, I think, having procedures documented and planned in advance of the school year is obviously a very helpful thing. And I recognize that you work with 16 different entities, right? Which complicates your work significantly. So the ILP is kind of at the heart of induction. It's also that thing that can really help you, I think, to establish consistency in terms of your expectation and service to all the diverse constituents in your region. So what are you thinking in terms of ways that you will strengthen the role of that process and document in your program at this point? What are you thinking?
You hit the nail on the head. We have actually revised our ILP already so that it's ready to go in the fall with just a more robust way to keep track of what input and when was provided by site administrators, what was provided by mentors. We've added a section for the IDP from the preliminary prep programs. And so that is absolutely the way that we plan to make sure that this is more consistently applied. We also have a guidance document that goes along with our ILP, and we have samples. So we will make sure to get that in there. We're just going to be, we had this already in our MOU with our districts, but we just weren't aware that everybody wasn't doing it like we are now. So we are definitely going to use that ILP to ensure that this is happening.
And just a follow-up question, practically, logistically, what platforms or vehicles are you using to track these things? Are you using like shared Google Docs? Is this through a Canvas course? How are you capturing evidence of this work?
It's a shared Google Doc. And so it's shared between the candidate, their mentor, myself, or whoever is the director of the program. We also have district leads and advisors that those documents are shared with as well. So everybody has a look.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee member have a comment or question? Member Morrison.
Hi, good morning. I just have a quick question about the stipulations. I was interested at number 4. Where it says only mentors who represent and support diversity and excellence are retained. I was just wondering why you felt that you had to put that there. Has that been a problem in the past? I mean, why did you call that out?
It was called out with standard language relating to the mentors being regularly assessed and evaluated because we found that there was not a set system for retention of mentors, and the diversity and excellence is the language from the standard. So because there was not a system that was completely solid, there was a system but not completely solid of regularly assessing the mentors and providing feedback to them. There was also not a system for assuring that only the excellent mentors were retained.
And I can speak to that too. We definitely feel that we only retain excellent mentors, but we don't have evidence of that. And so we are going to get some evidence of that.
Thank you for the clarification. Member Forbes.
Thank you. So I have a clarification question for the team. I see the recommendation for accreditation with stipulations, and that within 1 year, the ICOE will provide evidence of the revision of these various stipulations. So would that be in the form of a 7th year report? I guess I'm wondering like how that evidence would be presented and to whom. So this is for the consultant, the team lead, whoever on the team.
So they would do a report within 1 year. It's not technically referred to as a 7th year report, but rather a report within 1 year of the accreditation site visit. And Cheryl, do you want to add to that?
No, that is just standard for accreditation with stipulations where there's not a revisit being recommended. It is definitely a report that is given within a year where they say what actions they've taken, and it comes to you to remove the stipulations at that time. So I think that's helpful.
I guess the reason for my question is sometimes we see in the reports 7th year report. So
Yeah. Okay.
There are
This is
different.
where it gets very confusing.
Yeah, there is.
Let me be
Cheryl,
clear
you
about
gonna do it?
that.
Okay.
Because this is one of my little what do you call it? Bugs in your bonnet. I know I'm getting that wrong, but bees in your bonnet. Thank you. I get these things wrong every time. So there is accreditation with the 7th year report. There's accreditation with the 7th year report, and accreditation with stipulations. This one is being recommended for accreditation with stipulations, which it means a report is being recommended by the team, and that action needs to be taken by the committee on accreditation in a year to remove those stipulations. When you have accreditation with the 7th year report, it's still full accreditation. There's no stipulations and no need for the COA to act at that point in time to remove any stipulations. And what we did years ago, what you did years ago, I should say, the committee, is you wanted to reserve the right to have a 7th year report for full accreditation when there was one little minor or two little minor issues that maybe has already been resolved by the institution, but you wanted to make sure it was being maintained a year later. That is one of the things we are clarifying in the new accreditation handbook that will come to you next, because there's a lot of confusion. So they're both 7th year reports, but what happens to them is slightly different. So in this particular case, it is accreditation with stipulations. Yes.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Would it be then inappropriate to ask for a report in 6 months? Just to kind of see how you're going about, especially this whole mentor quality control documentation process. If nothing else, then just a chance to get some feedback, fine tune as you approach the end of the year. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. It needs to be within your motion.
Yeah, but the reasonable action of that is that it helps everyone involved to check out the progress, right? Sure. So if you would like to do that, you can include that in a motion. So is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call for a motion. Member Tchaikovsky. Don't put your hand up. We know it's you.
Okay, I'm going to move that we accept the report for the Imperial County Office of Education of accreditation with stipulations, with a report 6 months, a mid-year report to be reviewed and discussed with us.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Member Forbes. Any further discussion?
I just have a clarification. So I want to be clear, we'll still use an end of the year report as well, right? So there'll be addition of a 6 month and then an end of year.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. So thank you. And I do believe that the addition of the 6 month will help keep the systems in track and help keep you on your progress. So congratulations and good luck working with that. Thank you, Ms. Marquecho. Did I say that correctly?
It's Montaño.
Oh, we had the wrong one. So it's Montaño. Okay, thank you, Ms. Montaño. Ms. Bates, thank you all, as Ms. Saylor and Ms. Purdue. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, moving on to item 15. Try to keep things moving along. We recognize we're behind schedule. Thank you for your patience. Item 15 is the report of the accreditation team to San Francisco Unified School District. Consultant Karen Sacramento will introduce the item, and joining her is team lead Ann Weisenberg and institutional representatives Kristen Smith Alvarez, supervisor, SFUSD Pathway to Teaching Intern Credential Programs, and Carolyn Satado, supervisor of Teacher Induction Program. Do we have everybody here? All right, anyone need to recuse themselves? Seeing none, Ms. Sacramento, will you please begin?
I will. Good morning. I think it's still morning. Good morning. Getting close to not be. Good morning, CRI members. So it was my pleasure to serve as the consultant to the San Francisco Unified School District virtual site visit, which was held last month from May 9th to 11th. The protocols for this visit were all in accordance with normal procedures for a site visit, along with those needed considerations for a virtual format. And the findings were based on a very thorough review of all the institutional documentation, the program documents, and then a wide range of constituent interviews. I want to say thank you to the district representatives, those with us today, and those who weren't able to be here, for all the work that was done in this regard and for working to support this visit in the midst of so many school and district changes that they were going through over the academic year. Specifically, I'd like to thank the leadership of Dr. Nicole Priestley, Sandra Phillips-Fed, Kristen Bajur, Kristen Alvarez, and Carolyn Satado. And I'd also really like to acknowledge the hard work and professionalism of the site visit team members, Kimberly Campbell, Sarah Barnes-Schulman, Alan Hollis, is Alan here? No. Tracy Robinson, Crescentia Thomas, and Janice Wilson. And then thank the leadership of Ann Weisenberg as the team lead. She really led this visit with expertise and humor, and her guidance was insightful and standards-based. So I will now turn it over to Ann to review the visit and the program findings.
Good morning, sunshines. I always have to start that way. I'm just coming off of COVID, so I apologize if my voice doesn't hold out. I want to thank my fantastic team, Sarah, Alan, Tracy, Crescentia, Janice, and Kimberly, for all of their hard work and commitment to ensuring that SFUSD received a fair and thorough evaluation of its education preparation program. Karen, our state consultant, was spectacular. She was organized from the beginning and provided an easy way for us all to collaborate and work together. Her previous experience of virtual visits and LEAs was invaluable. I look forward to being paired with her again. We made a great team. I also want to acknowledge the work of the leadership team at SFUSD. From the very beginning of their submissions, and trust me, they went through a lot, they have responded to feedback and worked diligently to make sure their programs were well represented. Their preparation and attention to detail allowed us to do our job and made this virtual visit easy. I know how much a site visit entails, and really do commend them for all of their hard work. They were really able to include a variety of stakeholders, which really kind of showcased how great their programs really were. Even if it didn't always show up in the paperwork, the people there could not say enough about it. So the education unit included preliminary programs, education specialists, and multiple subject with or without a bilingual authorization. They also have both the teacher induction program and clear administrative services credential. Our visit started early on Monday morning with virtual interviews and ended Wednesday with a report of the findings. We had an opportunity to interview numerous stakeholders throughout the visit. They praised the efforts of the unit for their work in producing competent completers who are well prepared to teach in California public school system. They commented that their graduates were well prepared to especially work in San Francisco, which was all about their program about growing their own. It was a common theme throughout the visit. With the evidence collected from the interviews and their online exhibits, we found that all common standards except Common Standard 3, the course of study, fieldwork, and clinical practice were met. Program standards were met with the exception of Program Standard 2 for multiple subjects, which was met with concerns. Program Standards 7, 8, and 15 for Education Specialist Program, and program standard 4 in mild moderate education specialists, which were met with concerns. In the bilingual authorization, all standards were met with the exception of standards 2 and 3, which were met with concerns. Although there were some standards that were met with concerns, we saw evidence throughout the visit that the stakeholders felt that all is going very well and that the program itself was already in the process of addressing some of the areas that were met with concern. All of the standards that were met with concern are all kind of intertwined together, and we feel like a couple little things would fix all of it, and that's why we believe that the stipulation of a 1-year out written report regarding these concerns would keep SUF-USD moving in the right direction of becoming fully accredited. With that, our team is proud to recommend San Francisco Unified School District's Education Unit to be accredited with stipulations. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Weisenberg. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts you had regarding the visit itself.
Thank you so much for the time. I want to give tremendous thanks to Anne and Karen for all their leadership, both throughout the visit and before the visit. Thank you so much, Karen, for your steady leadership. As you said, it's been a very trying year for public schools, and we appreciate all of the advice and feedback you consistently provided to us. I apologize to the commission that more of my colleagues are not here. We have many folks on much needed summer holidays, as well as some district level leadership transitions, so other folks could not be at the table, but we all take this incredibly seriously. And I am here on site at our summer program because, as you all know, teacher education programs do not quit and do not have a down season. So happy to be here to represent the preliminary credential and the authorization programs. I want to echo Anne's comments. I really think that we learned a tremendous amount through this process, not just the site visit, but through the entire program review process. It is the first time our intern programs have gone through that process. And so I think, as the commission hopes, we learned so much about what you all hope to see through our documentation. I think if you talk to our candidates, as Anne and colleagues did, they are incredibly passionate educators, and they would certainly say we assess them far too much and too rigorously, of course. And I think really what this comes down to is the documentation process to ensure that things are popping a little bit more for our visiting team, and that we can dot those I's and cross those T's in terms of the way that appears in our syllabi, for example. And we've transitioned to Canvas and are doing all of the things there to ensure those assessments are really clear to our visiting team members. They are occurring robustly. And I think what we've learned is how we can do better in terms of documenting that for external reviewers to ensure that everyone understands and can see all the fine work happening. So again, huge thanks for the time of everyone involved. And we are really looking forward to what we can demonstrate to you all over the next academic year.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments. Any questions or comments from committee members? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thanks for being here on a busy summer. Just a couple notes from your report that struck me. I really found your structured support for interns worthy of consideration and replication as a model for how interns can actually have a layered kind of network of support built around them, not just on paper, but actually as they experience the challenges of being a new teacher. So that's very kind of unusual, and I think I appreciated that. I also just appreciate the emphasis in the report itself on the TPEs. I think that, constantly reminding ourselves that that's really where this is at, despite all the complexities and challenges of teaching, helps us all to have that productive third point, if nothing else, that can really glue that relationship between mentors and candidates together, and helps a new teacher, particularly an intern, kind of see the reason in the madness. It can just be totally overwhelming. So I appreciate that coming out as the first stipulation on this list, and the most important one, just to kind of always come back to that North Star of those TPEs in the ILP or in any planning that the new teacher's doing, their relationship with support staff. So thank you for those two things.
Thank you. Any other further comments or questions from committee members? Seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Tchaikovsky.
So I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations for San Francisco Unified.
Thank you. Is there a second? So moved by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Alvarez, for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Weisenberg, for your work, and thank you, Ms. Sacramento.